Chatter. It's another series. This time it's the first test between India and South Africa, and that is happening in Kolkata. To join me, we have the great Mr. Shaun Pollock.
All of a sudden, great. I heard what you said about being commentary. He was like, what, not a proper pundit or something, yeah?
We will get to all the sledging and all the
checking.
issues we have soon enough. But let's just start with South Africa. They won the toss and decided to bat, which looked like a wise decision at the start. Pretty muggy day, but the weather was brilliant. I mean, it was 21 degrees at the start, as beautiful as it gets to play a day of cricket, and it got to about 26 midway through the game. But what was sluggish was what happened at the back end. Things were very slow and just felt like things were happening in slow motion almost literally. But we'll come to that as well. But first up, I want to speak to you about someone who you rate very highly, who the world rates very highly. And it is very, very evident the impact he has. Because if you go through the summary of what happened today, India very much in the driver's seat. South Africa being bowled out for 159. India in reply 37 for 1, trailed by 122. You would like to think that it's a below par score. But the one name that stands out there, Polly, is Jasprit Bumrah. What did you think of his first spell? And then when he came back to bowl his second spell?
Yeah, pretty special. I mean, coming to the ground, I think we looked at the surface. We didn't think it was going to play the way it did. Definitely more assistance. Particularly that first over. I mean, the first over from Bumrah, there's goes one that goes down, two that climb up, and we go, okay, it's going to be an interesting test match. But I thought the decision to obviously bowl him an extended spell worked like magic for India. I think South Africa were good to start, but those 2 wickets, I mean, you get to 50 odd. South Africa are starting to show, maybe having won the toss, that they're going to head in the right direction. And then he comes back with one great delivery to Rickleton. Brilliant. There was nothing to do with the pitch on that one. Angled in, just straightens, knocks over the off stump. Then a snorter to Markham, who was starting to look like he was in touch. Then Bumrah comes back in the middle. South Africa start to form a partnership, knocks over to Zorzi. And then all fast bowlers, what you expect from them at the back end. When there's a tail that come to the crease, you clean them up and make sure that the team doesn't get any more than they have to. And what did South Africa lose their last 5 wickets for? I think it was like 13 or 14 runs. So he's spectacular. I mean, the control he possesses, the variation, the natural idiosyncrasies to his action, where you kind of think how it's going to come out. There's just so much going in his favor, and the confidence is just sky high as well.
And what I want to speak about is a very interesting piece that you made, his load up, how far it is, to where his actual hand is when it gets delivered so far away. How do you think that actually disturbs the batter?
Yeah, we did a little piece on air today, as you say, but I suppose the one thing I didn't show is like orthodox bowlers. So like if I can show in camera here, they kind of they can load up here. Let me try and get that a bit closer. They load up here, down here, and then deliver from up here. He kind of loads out there and then delivers from over here.
It's a bit very much like this. It goes outside the screen or outside the purview of what the batter looks to do.
And as a batter, you kind of line yourself up. You're looking for cues. Like, for example, Brett Lee was brilliant. He kind of showed you everything, straight lines and bowled. Bumrah, you kind of a little bit all over the show, which can mean that you can square yourself up on the crease and then you try and play from there. So, as I say, I think that's the key to him, his control, his speed, his variation. From that action to also get the ball to shape at times, how effective he can be with a reverse swing. He's just got all the attributes, and that's why he averages what he does. We had a graphic today, averages what, 17.2 when he's in India. It's probably even better now that he's picked up that 5 wickets. So good luck in the second innings for South Africa.
Yeah, I'm being a bit greedy here, honestly.
No, go for it.
In your career, you've seen a lot of bowlers, and I'm sure you had your heroes as well growing up. Where does Bumrah actually rank in your list of gun bowlers?
No, I mean, you think of what he does in white ball cricket. He can bowl Yorkers, that wrist position, he can get shape. I mean, I always used to say I thought Javagal Srinath didn't get the accolades he deserved for what he achieved as an Indian cricketer. Bumrah, he's just head and shoulders above anything. I mean, I've seen spells from Shami, Zahir Khan. You think of some of the Indian bowlers, the greats that have performed really well. I mean, the consistency of what he does is just next level. I mean, he would have been brilliant in any era that he had played in. And just seen what we don't need any more evidence than the last 18 months. What he's gone Australia, been unbelievable. Had a stress fracture, bounced back from that, performed in England, comes back here, picks up 5 against South Africa, World Test champions. No, he's as gun as it gets. I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see how the rest of his career pans out, because some fast bowlers we get a little bit long in the tooth and not as easy to perform. But as far as what he's done up until now, I mean, KG's strike rate's probably the only one that's better, but his average is just through the roof. So, gun.
That's a good word to say. This gun bowler actually got the first 2 wickets, but what he did do was set it up for one man who, interestingly, he's picked up 3 player of the matches so far, the bowler that we're going to speak about. But interestingly, when he's picked up a player of the match, the next time he's been dropped. And that's happened twice. Luckily
We're
for him.
talking about send me to something.
But for him, the third time that jinx is broken, we're speaking about Kuldeep Yadav.
Yeah.
And he started quite nicely as well, settled into a good rhythm, got the early wicket of Temba Bauma, and then came back in, got a wicket of Vian Mulder as well. And I thought he bowled quite nicely, controlled things at that stage.
Yeah, he did. I thought his control was very good. I was actually interested. I mean, he played in that India A game. So I thought, well, South Africa have kind of had a look at him. He didn't get wickets in that game. I mean, it was a different surface and didn't really turn. And I wonder how much he showed him. I always remember that story of Alan Border when Shane Warne first went into the Ashes. And in the pre-game, I think it was in Worcester or something, they said to him, "You're not allowed to bowl any of your variations. You're only allowed to bowl leg spin. And I don't want the googlies, the flipper, nothing. You don't show them any of that, and you save it for the test matches." And I wonder how much went into this build-up for him. But the control, I've got to say, the early wicket he picked up, there was a lot of batters that came to the crease there. We were saying it on commentary where they bowled the delivery, and it was like, they didn't pick that. They were playing it off the pitch, which means as a variation and a wrist spinner, with all those options that he got, that he was mystery. He was creating the mystery for the South Africans. And he looked way more effective than anything else was on offer. All the other spinners, Jadeja had to go, Axar Patel had to go, Washington Sundar had to go.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything that kind of looked like these guys are going to frighten me. Whereas when he was bowling, Kuldeep, I was thinking, okay, South Africa in trouble.
That's a good feeling to have if you're an Indian bowler. But having said that, Kuldeep bowled quite nicely, bowled 14 overs, picked up the 2 wickets. You have to say in the same breath, it wasn't the best effort from the South African batters, isn't it?
No, it wasn't. I mean, to be brutally honest, if you have a look at the wickets that far, I don't think there's anything Rickleton could have done. I don't think there's anything Markram could have done. Then Temba Bavuma comes to crease. I think technically maybe didn't play it as well as he could. There was nothing Tony DeZorzi could have done. So the first 4 wickets go down. 3 of them, I'm saying nothing they could have done. The only one was Vian Mulder. I thought, I can understand the modern day where they want to reverse sweep, but those kind of situations for me as an oldie is kind of saved for a situation where the match conditions are difficult and I can't knock it around for singles. I can't get off strike. I can't keep the scoreboard rotating. It wasn't the case with Vian Mulder. He was going fine. He was middling balls and then decides to play that reverse sweep. It's a premeditated shot. And I don't think he was in trouble. It wasn't like he was feeling he was going to get caught by short leg or silly point or play and miss. He was in control. He was defending nasty. It all looked comfortable. So was there the need for that? And that's the only problem I have. And then he gets out and 2 wickets fall quickly after it. So new guys come to the crease. And that's at one stage, would have been one, there would have been 146 for 5. Calvarena got out to a good one. There's nothing much he can do. But to go from 146 for 5 all the way to 159 all out. We just come off a tour of Pakistan where in the 4 innings that they played against South Africa with the bat, I think they had 4 times that they were like 16 for 5, 17 for 6, 15 for 5, 14 for 5, something like that. And South Africa saw firsthand that if you don't get runs at the back end, this is what happens in a test match. You give away the control. And that's what they did today. So they'll be immensely disappointed. And how bad were some of the reviews? Terrible, terrible reviews. Terrible. Embarrassing reviews. And they needed the extra and they squandered it because Maharaj could have got it go his way. Maybe they add another 25. The game just looks a little bit different.
True. And also, if you look at the South African batting lineup, barring Marco Jansen, everybody's got a first-class 100. All the way, all the 11 players. So tells you that they have experience. They know what it takes to score runs. Not one batter averages 40. That is a worrying sight.
It's been like that for a while. I've been crying out for proper surfaces in South Africa because the likes of your Rickleton, he got a 200 against Pakistan at the end of last year. Your Vian Mulders, your not Temba, but DeZorzi, your Stubbs, your Varenas, your Janssens, they all need to learn the art of batting for a long period of time. And the funny thing about that World Test Championship, if you go down to, I think we had like 9 people contribute Test hundreds in that period, but it wasn't a complete team performance at any stage where 100 from three people. It was kind of contributions and just enough to get them through. So it is a concern. I mean, to have not one person averaging over 40, I think is Corbin Bosch, but he's out now. So I think that average
He's
is coming half.
recovered.
Yeah. It's a worry. And when you look around there are players with ability. There's no doubt about that. But the consistency, I mean, if you think of teams over the years that have dictated terms in Test cricket, there's always someone who's 50. You even have guys close to 60. If you think some of the averages, you can't be dominating Test cricket if you've got no one averaging over 40.
Yeah, that's so true because India has had these problems since the pandemic when they played on some tough pitches. Their averages have plummeted down as well. And that's been a struggle. But what wasn't a struggle today was India's bowling. Yes, we spoke about Bumrah, who was brilliant, Kuldeep, who was very good. But there was a very interesting case study there that I want to discuss with you. His name is Mr. Mohammad Siraj. Had a shocker to start with because he wasn't getting the rhythm and he felt it was pretty placid from the end that he was bowling. But then he came back in the second spell when he came back and bowled quite nicely and picked up 2 wickets. What does it take for a fast bowler? Not the second spell, the third spell, if I'm right. What does it take for a fast bowler to come back in a game like this in India when the conditions could be, you know what, there might not be much on offer for me, but to come back and pick up a couple of wickets, is that attitude or is that the determination? What is it?
I think it's contribution two things. I think firstly, I was surprised by how badly he went in that first spell because he'd come off that India A game, so he would have had time at the crease. His rhythm must have been okay. I think for him, what it was today was he probably sat and analysed it and thought my performance wasn't great. I need to bounce back here, and it was in conjunction with the reverse swing. I think after he came after Bumrah, the ball was reversing, and as a bowler, you think, okay, I've got something to work with now. There wasn't movement up front. He didn't get to shape it with the new ball. He wasn't nipping around. But when he comes back for that last spell, he's like, okay, I've got something here. I've got something that's working. I've got a plan. I know how to do this, and he did it brilliantly.
Now, as a bowler, we've seen what Siraj has done. They were also quite nicely supported by Jadeja, who bowled, kept things steady. Washington just bowled the 1 over, so not too much to speak about, so to say. But what India did do well was show a lot of grit while batting. They came back, they batted at an awkward time, generally an hour after tea, or rather, they had an hour and a half to bat with a fading light towards the end of it. But there is one thing that we need to speak about. The new man batting at number three. Let's start there. Washington Sundar. He is known to bat in the middle order and done quite nicely. Averages mid 40s, by the way. But today he was thrown into the deep end of batting at number three. What did you see that you liked about him? And what do you see has future actually at number three?
Yeah, I think he looked comfortable there, didn't he? I mean, technique-wise, I don't have an issue with him going. I think we've seen it from a South African perspective with Tristan Stubbs, that when they're forced into a new role, they kind of start to overthink how they should or shouldn't go about it. And what did he do? He got 37 runs in
In
about
20
20
overs.
overs. They kind of didn't go anywhere. And it's not a problem because it was the close of play. If it was the rest of the innings still to unfold, you can get yourself into trouble. But tomorrow they can come and rejig things around and start. But it is, people will say batting positions like, oh, what's the difference if he goes in here or goes in here? It's a mindset thing. To be able to keep the scoreboard ticking over, to have the pressure of given this responsibility, how do you react? I think that's just something he has to work out. And if he's going to be the man, the future man to bat number three, they'll have to obviously go with him and analyze things and try and help him through to try and come with a mindset of this is where I can score, this is the pace I should play at. Because he's a more positive cricketer than that, isn't he? I mean, he's technically looks sound, but he's a guy who likes to get bat on ball. So a little bit surprised by that approach and Rahul's approach, but I think tomorrow might be different. I think they might be a bit more aggressive against the spinners in particular. And with the older ball, it might not nip around as much. They might be more comfortable with playing in a different game plan.
And also another talking point today was the 11 that India chose. They played with four spinners, three of them who are bona fide
That's
all
cool. Why do
rounders.
you need four spinners?
It's very interesting because Sai Sudarshan, when in previously the captain and the coach spoke about him, was like they earmarked him for number three, but it got to a stage where Dhruv Jurel had done so well you couldn't keep him out. Now you had to play him as a bona fide batter. So then if they wanted to fit in three spinners, or rather four right now, they had to let go of Sai Sudarshan, who was at number three. And that's purely come because of the weight of runs that Dhruv Jurel has against South Africa. He got 100 in each innings, unbeaten as well. And he's been showing promise and form every time he's played for India. So you almost felt you couldn't leave him out. So they had to find someone they could leave out. And they've landed on Washington Sundar at
And
number
what
three.
about all these left-handers? Where are all these left-handers coming from? You've
I
got
know.
6 in this game and you've got 2 on the bench. Do you think
You-
we can't bowl to left-handers, boy?
At this point of time, the off spinner is not playing, so Brian, so that helps. But you have Markram as well. But in all fairness, it is uh, a situation for India which is not the easiest to handle. I think they are in a bit of transition because they want to fit in those spinners. Also, the fact that they're all rounders. Washington has shown skill anywhere he's batted in Australia, in England, in all those places. So you almost felt like we have to play him. So, what does it take to play Washington consistently? Bat him at three, give him the opportunities. Hopefully, he gets a long run. That is going to be important. And we'll come to the 11 that you chose. But what I want to speak about is Dhruv Jurel. For a long time now, Polly, I'm not talking for India. In general, the mindset has been if a wicketkeeper is still a good batter, he only gets in either as a replacement for the wicketkeeper or if on tour one of your batters get injured as a stopgap arrangement for that. There's been very few.
I tend to sense that there's a little bit of scarring here. There's a player who was like a backup keeper who's like kind of struggling to get a regular spot. There might be a little bit of experience and scarring coming to the fore here.
I was trying to
Okay,
give this big build up and kind of create a crescendo to that big moment you just busted. But in Dhruv Jurel's defense, he is as good a batter as anybody going around
What's
in
his
India.
keeping like?
Solid,
Is it?
as good as Pant, if not even better. And he's shown that skill whenever he's kept for India as well. But
So you're saying he should be keeping in place of Punt? Is that what?
no, I feel Pant has got certain skills which is very good. Which, for example, he's got great game awareness. If you watch him closely, he almost always prompts the bowler as to what to bowl. He keeps changing the fields and the angles quite nicely. So those are strengths that you almost can't not value. I know you want to get me into trouble, but still, he does everything that's required.
After your comment
to-
today about me being a bad pundit, I'm
Yeah.
after you.
I don't know why I never said bad pundit. I said unlike Dale Steyn, we have. I mean, Dale Steyn is a true pundit, unlike you, Polly.
Oh,
Which basically
Okay.
meant he
Yeah.
said South Africa losing
okay,
2 wickets.
moving on. Yeah. We'll get the Cricbuzz people to vote about whether I'm a
We should actually please vote, figure out if Shaun Pollock is a true pundit or whether I said absolute wrong things about him.
Please do.
It's up for debate. I mean, that's for sure. But can I have a look at the batting card once, please? Because I want to speak about Yashasvi Jaiswal as well. Because he has got not twice playing that short ball. He once against West Indies, cutting Jaden Seals and just went past him. And today, Jansen as well.
If you look at his bat angle to a delivery that's just outside the off stump, it's that 45-degree bat angle, which you can't plan. And you get away with it in the subcontinent. I think we've often seen when they come into South Africa, that bat angle gets people into trouble because the extra bounce takes a nick or the variable bounce gets dragged on. It's a thing that if you want to bat at the top of the order, 100% be positive. I don't have an issue with that if he wants to play that way. But he needs to say positive straight or positive horizontal. Yeah, I had to think about that. Horizontal. He can't be caught in
That
between.
45-degree kind of thing.
Yeah, the new ball's going to find you out. And it's definitely something he has to eliminate because he's too good a player. I mean, when he gets stuck in and he can take the match away from you up front. But definitely technically, I mean, we've seen it many times. It's like when our guys come here and they play a spin and they plant that front foot and play around it. They're going to get themselves into trouble. It's the kind of basics, it's the fundamentals of cricket that get taught by all the coaches because they know they've seen experience of how it gets people into trouble.
And now it takes me to the most favorite part of the show. It's called the Hotspot.
Huh.
Now, you've given me so much grief about India's 11 playing four spinners, etc., etc. All day you've troubled
I
me.
didn't.
You have. Let's leave that. That's established. Moving on.
Hmm.
Who do you think is going to be a big miss? Kaiso Rabada or Senuran Muthusamy, who's had such a good series of Pakistan? Please, Bolu sir.
Yeah, KG, I was so disappointed. When KG couldn't play today, I thought, come on, I've been waiting to see. You talk about these unbelievable fast bowlers. You've got Bumrah on the one side, and I wanted to see how KG would go, almost like a comparison how they would fire. But to try and explain this, I'll go to the Muthusamy. So obviously Markram and Rickleton, that stays. Vion Mulder was number 3, got dropped in Pakistan, and what they did is they moved Tristan Stubbs to number 3. Then there was Tony DeZorzi, then there was Brevis. And I'm trying to think who else would have played there. No, that was it. Oh, then Sen Muthusamy came in at number 6. Okay, so Tema Bavum was back. Tony DeZorzi did brilliantly, so he now holds his spot. So he was actually the one who plays in place of Muthusamy. Tristan Stubbs moves from number 3
Back to
because
5.
Vion Mulder's now playing, and they see Vion Mulder long term when they get into South African conditions, having to use the extra seamer as batting number 3, and Stubbs goes down to 6. So that's the explanation. But I think, to be brutally honest, there's probably been too much chopping and changing for South Africa. I mean, these guys in that top six, I think everyone's batted in different positions. Some guys have had a go at opening 3, 4, 6. Stubbs has been 3. He's open, he's batted 3. Now he's batting 5. It's too much messing around. They need to settle in on that. Mutasami, definitely, it was a tough blow for him. I mean, after the way he performed, wickets in that first test in Pakistan, runs not out in the second innings, in that second test against Pakistan. I think he got player of the tournament, actually. Man of the series, he might have got. So that must have been a tough pill for him to swallow. But they decided to go with the extra seamer. Corbin Bosch came in place of KG to add up some extra fast bowling units. And yeah, probably not convinced. Devil Brevis, I think, is a miss as well. I think he's the guy who would have taken the attack and looked to be positive, where South Africa kind of needed that approach a little bit.
Like Tristan Stubbs just played quite meekly, isn't it?
He's
Right up to then.
He's caught in a space at the moment where he's not sure how he should go about it. He wants to occupy the crease. But as you know, it is international level. You have to find a way to rotate the strike. Otherwise, you get stuck down one end and you're bound to get a good ball, particularly on these kind of surfaces. So he played a very subdued innings in Pakistan. He got like single figures twice or 3 times, and then he got 180 odd. And that was a case where he got to the crease and batted for 60 balls and got 3 runs, and then kicked on and started to play his normal way. So I think he's struggling to find out what the pace of play should be for himself, and he'll hopefully work that out. But I would have loved to see Brevis because he would have taken the game to India.
Speaking about Brevis and Tristan Stubbs quickly, in 2015 when you all came, those were tougher pitches to bat on. 2019, much better pitches to bat on because, you actually didn't bat well in 2019. But this pitch as well, there wasn't any demons in it.
I think initially with that new ball, there was a bit of variable bounce, but there was more than enough spell there where you could actually get yourself in. And that's why I think that wicket of Mulder, as we've mentioned earlier, was a blow. I think he was the one who was kind of looking settled and should have batted properly. But second innings, I think it's going to be doing more. I think there's going to be more for the spinners. We've seen Maharaj, we've seen Harmer getting the ball with accuracy to turn. So I don't think we'll be doing Cricbuzz Chatter on day 5.
But we have to do Cricbuzz Chatter on the other days. But most importantly, we finish with the last part of the show, which is called Fast Forward. Yet again, an opportunity to ask Mr. Polikaka what's going to happen tomorrow. Now, what do you think? India is going to really keep them on the field, give some heavy legs for the South Africans? Or do you think South Africa are going to come hunting back?
No, South Africa are going to show character. The one thing I would say for them, they have found a way. Over the last 18 months to 2 years, World Test champion, because of the way that they've found a way. They have found a way to be competitive. Pakistan, we saw them, the game that they won there, they were 200 for 7, ended up posting 400, 7-yard lead and won that game. So they will show character, and I think there'll be good control from Maharaj and Harmer if the fast bowlers don't.
I'm assuming you think that they'll be doing the bulk of the bowling.
They will be in the mid overs. I think they'll give the new ball initially to probably Jansen. I mean, he looked pretty dangerous with that new ball. So he might have a spell, and then after that, they'll go to the spin. So I don't see the game getting away from South Africa. I'm thinking India would probably get to around 250. I think South Africa might bowl them out for 250. And then have a deficit of maybe 80 or so. And then they have to bat properly second time round.
So you heard it from Shaun Pollock. He feels that 80 would be what India would be achieving in terms of a lead. I believe they'll go in excess of 120, 130. So it's going to be a riveting day. One where South Africa will be looking to come back and India will be looking to make sure they show their assertion and supremacy yet again on Indian soil. But to discuss all that, we'll be back, same place, same time. Cricbuzz Chatter tomorrow, end of day 2. We will be there. Shaun Pollock and I.